Many of the most astonishing ancient sites found here upon our planet are often just the tip of an archaeological iceberg. Although millions of people flock to such sites as Teotihuacan, Chichen Itza, the Great Pyramids, etc. each year, the actual enormity of the undertaking that these sites indeed once were is unfortunately overlooked, walked upon yet ignored year after year. It is no secret that to build the enormous steel and glass structures of today, a foundation of a similar size will be utilized. These foundations allow for such gigantic weights to be placed upon these specific locations, and the sites of the past are no different. Only ever truly appreciated from the air, these gigantic plateaus are all that is left to allow one to accurately calculate the true size of these ancient monuments. The Giza Plateau, for example, although rarely mentioned by Egyptologists or indeed tour guides, is an area of flat sandstone that has for many years been argued as once having been man-made. Many factors go into such a hypothesis, the most important of which being the realization of the requirement to build on this specific site, a realization only in its early days, consisting of alignments with celestial pathways and indeed Earth's own energy grids, known in England as ley lines. Indeed, the perfectly flat, efficient vegetation barriers found within Mesoamerican rainforests are also still clear testament to the ancients' past capabilities and the vast undertaking these sites once were. Yet we feel the most astonishing of these ancient plateaus can be found in Chile. Predictably, like the many other clearly manufactured plateaus, it seems this must also be argued as a natural formation. Known as El Enladriado, it is an astonishing ancient site, located atop a 2,300-meter-high basaltic mountaintop. 233 megalithic stones, once masterfully placed in a geometric shape, form an artificial amphitheater atop the mountain, some of the stones being over 10 tons in weight. 3 enormous standing stones were found in the center of the plateau. 2 were discovered to have been aligned with magnetic north, while a line through one of these and the third stone points to the summer solstice. Interestingly, however, UFO sightings and claims of otherworldly activity is what the site is most famous for. Many sightings of shining spheres going into water or wooded zones without any human explanation. In 2008, Chile's tourism service brought UFO spotting into the mainstream by turning the site into the country's first official UFO trail. Just what is going on at El Enladriado? Who built such an enigmatic ancient site? Why did they choose to build it atop a mountain? And is there really a UFO connection yet to be unraveled? Clearly a bizarre plateau that someone, at some point in history, went to tremendous effort in creating. Also, the attempts to argue it away as a natural formation are all factors we find highly compelling.
On December 9, 1957, an incredible event occurred within the UK. Now known as the Silpho Saucer Incident, it has become known within UFO enthusiast circles as the UK's Roswell. It was a story that was first released within the Yorkshire Post. It told of a mystery disc that was found on the Yorkshire moors. Scarborough businessman Frank Dickinson, along with 2 friends, were driving through a place known as Reesty Hill, near the village of Silpho, when their car mysteriously stalled as a glowing object appeared in the sky above them, subsequently landing in the borax forest. Mr. Dickinson and his friends bravely pursued the downed craft and found a mysterious metallic saucer in a patch of freshly cindered bracken. Amazingly, when the artifact was cut open, apparently a tiny book was found within, made of 17 thin copper sheets covered in 2,000 unknown hieroglyphs. Interestingly, similar hieroglyphics were also supposedly found among the wreckage of the UFO that allegedly crashed at Roswell, New Mexico in June 1947. The remains of the Silpho Moor object were subsequently sent to a London laboratory for examination in 1963, including a perplexing fused section of the metal and plastic which was apparently from the outer casing. Gordon Claringbull, a funded academic from the Natural History Museum who specialized in meteorites and explosives, said in a memo to the Science Museum that he was prepared to wager anything that the pieces of metal were made on Earth. However, although the scientific community was predictably skeptical, Air Chief Marshal Lord Dowding, who led the RAF during the Battle of Britain during World War II, examined the SILPHO saucer in 1958. He actually believed it was genuine. Describing it as a quote, miniature computer-piloted flying saucer, Lord Dowding was openly convinced it was a genuine artifact from space, according to the report in the Yorkshire Post. The results of the analysis found that the artifacts contained an unusually pure set of metals, cast in highly specific ways, fueling the UFO community's interest in the object's fragments. Will more modern specific analysis shed more light on this enigmatic object's origins? We will keep you posted on any future developments. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
With mysterious megaliths still found littering the foliage, one site in particular, it would seem, evaded destruction, and the subsequent rainforest's creeping grip, which has consumed much of this enormous ancient site. Known as Quirigua, it remains virtually untouched, yet the most intriguing thing regarding this site, apart from its superb preservation, are the enigmatic stone carvings not only found at the site but throughout the jungle itself. Statues and megaliths, presumably often depicting queens and kings in strange contraptions, seemingly familiar in form to modern vehicles or the interiors of an aircraft. Once claimed as mere signposts, the sheer abundance of these mystifying tributes, however, now makes this explanation unlikely. For even if merely artistically inspired, what do they depict? Why would an ancient civilization show such passion in casting these particular-looking technological devices into massive stones all over the Guatemala rainforest? With Quirigua thankfully so well preserved, we can explore a number of these baffling carved megaliths in detail. Were they trying to tell future generations something? Did they find something crashed within the forest, possibly documenting a find and proposed purposes upon these stones? Did they witness a form of craft take to the air and seemingly into the heavens? Could this have been the inspiration for why leaders of these tribes would want to be immortalized in carved, similar-appearing machines, in the hope of eternal life, or indeed a craft capable of transporting them into the heavens? Vast questions still surround this ancient civilization's knowledge, one now known to have been over 10 million strong. Did this enormous, once incredibly powerful ancient civilization get visited by beings from another planet? Possibly found a crashed craft, one they attempted to depict a reverse engineering of? The fact that many depict what modern man would perceive as complex craft concepts, many find highly intriguing. We also find these massive stone megaliths, the efforts undoubtedly applied to create them, their source inspiration, and indeed the images they depict, by a civilization we now know were undeniably advanced and extremely ancient, once lost for millennia and only now being rediscovered, highly compelling. An ancient clay tablet buried away in the bowels of a British museum has been quietly baffling historians for over 150 years. This cuneiform tablet has been long housed in the British Museum's archives under collection article number K8538. However, now known as a planisphere, it has nonetheless revealed a fascinating translation telling of an incredible story, one which described of an ancient comet impact with our own planet. Recovered in the 19th century, unearthed from the ancient library of King Ashurbanipal in Nineveh, Iraq, by Sir Henry Layard. After feverish research, specialists found that 50% of the clay tablet intricately referred to the position of the planets and weather conditions. Yet in addition, the other half of the tablet described how a massive object, large enough to be observed as it was still in space, was tracked as the inscriber witnessed it approaching and subsequently impacting with Earth. Museum curators explain, the Sumerian astronomer, it would seem, decided the event was of such great importance. He made tremendous effort to pinpoint its location in the sky, making an accurate note of the object's trajectory relative to the stars. Incredibly, from this remarkable skill, they claim they were able to pinpoint the precise comet, and it turns out that the object observed by the Sumerian astronomer was the asteroid that impacted Kurfürst, Austria. We find this astute research, the possibly successful complete decipherment of the tablet, not to mention its ability to allow us to listen to a witness story of an event thousands of years ago, is indeed incredibly fascinating.
The Crystal Skulls, a set of the world's most alluring artifacts, possessing the power to create religions, snaring many a Hollywood figure with their mysticism and rumored possible alien origins. Firstly, how does one tell a real crystal skull from a fake? There are always artists capable of making and selling things that seem old, says anthropologist Jane McLaren Walsh of the Smithsonian Museum. And she should know. Walsh has seen her share of fakes. In fact, she's probably seen more crystal skulls than anyone else alive, subsequently becoming the leading academic on the subject. A stern skeptic with a ruthless ethic, only the most puzzling will convince Jane. Another major player in the skull game, according to Walsh, was Frederick Arthur Mitchell Hedges, an English stockbroker turned adventurer, who in 1943 began displaying a skull at dinner parties which he called the Skull of Doom. His daughter Anna later claimed that he had found the skull in a ruined temple in Belize during the early 1920s. However, this was later found to have been a lie. Investigations by the Linnean Society of London, a research institute specializing in taxonomy and natural history, revealed that Mitchell Hedges actually purchased his skull at auction at Sotheby's in London in 1943. How it came to be at the auction house, however, was never established. Which is unfortunate because the Mitchell Hedges skull, according to Walsh's scrupulous examination, is the only one she has ever had to reluctantly confirm as an authentic crystal skull. What's more, it is the only academically accepted original known within the public archives. Smaller than other examples, which under microscope analysis were seen to have been made using rotary drills, the Mitchell Hedges skull is a more finely crafted, yet more crudely designed example that under the atomic microscope has shown signs of having indeed been an ancient pre-Columbian artifact, which sure enough was constructed using, quote, unknown technology. There are of course many examples of crystal skulls around the world, and many more stories surrounding their mysterious construction. Elongated examples, stories of groups of these skulls initiating some form of energy field. Ancient laser cutting technology has also been claimed time and time again. However, we felt we would approach them from another angle, to experience the rare occasion when modern, specifically funded academic institutes buckle to overwhelming evidence, proofs given by the defeated skeptic to those who pursue nothing but the perplexing truth and a direction for study. Made from a single piece of quartz crystal, Mitchell's Skull of Doom is unquestionably an exquisite example of an unknown history here upon our planet. Regardless of beliefs, or indeed the superstitions which now surround them, there are a rare few which support the theory of lost civilization and ancient visitation.
This skull is much smaller than many and crudely carved, leading museum scholars here to believe that in a world of fakes, this one is the real thing.
Kinnick Jainab Pakal I was known by many names: Pakal, Pakal the Great, Eight Ahu, Sunshield, the list goes on. He was the leader of the Maya city-state of Palenque, and according to academia, this rule and the subsequent exquisite ruins left by his reign occurred within the late Classic period of Mesoamerican chronology. Undoubtedly, the most astonishing relic left by this past king, and the artifact which has fueled countless ancient astronaut theories, is the casing stone found atop his tomb, clearly depicting some form of advanced machine. Yet the question has persisted: what was the type of machine? Or indeed, what was its past function? Are we peering upon a schematic for an ancient spacecraft? Why would a king that we feel is clearly from a lost civilization go to such considerable effort having this contraption depicted upon his burial chamber? Before his name was securely deciphered from extant Maya inscriptions, only within the last few decades, may I add, little was known of this intriguing ruler. He had been known by an assortment of nicknames, and we find it interesting that regardless of the clearly advanced knowledge bestowed within the ancient constructions of such sites, academics continue to create suspiciously complete timelines surrounding these structures, their rulers, and even dating the builds. Yet their explanations as to how these tasks were completed are utterly absent from the thousands of books written, funded, supported, and published by this select group of influential individuals. However, during our own research, we have found a compelling lead regarding this ancient site. A set of images purportedly showing an artifact once found beneath Pakal's tomb. And although we have been unsuccessful in finding any more photography of the artifact, we have found out where it is currently being held: the Mexican National Museum. What makes this particular artifact so compelling to us is its resemblance to rocket thrusters. Its deliberately sculpted shape is uncanny of a three-cone rocket, and was clearly not intended to be an ornament with such an awkward form. This artifact, if indeed depicting some form of ancient thruster, throws up some rather controversial yet astonishing questions. Is it a mere basalt sculpture? Or is it actually made from some sort of metal? Was this artifact created by Pakal? Was it his idea? Or was it a craft that his people found and subsequently brought to him? A vessel Pakal attempts to depict on the case of his tomb. According to the very limited information we were able to extrapolate from the web, it is being housed within the bowels of the Mexican National Museum. We are unfortunately yet to find any more pictures of this clearly, compellingly shaped artifact that was once found beneath a tomb many feel actually depicts a space-going craft. Why has there not been more heard of this intriguing artifact? Is it being hidden by the Mexican government? We find the shape of this artifact, its found location, and its clear academic elusiveness as highly compelling. Specialist researchers in Volgograd, Russia, have discovered over a dozen ancient disc-shaped objects which they strongly believe to be the remnants of several crashed UFOs, including one object which is over 4 meters in diameter. According to experts, these strange, out-of-place discs are coated in a thick layer of tungsten, a high-density metal often used in military technology. Kosmopoisk, the team who made the discoveries, is a notorious Russian UFO and cryptozoology research group. They were performing excavations in the district in an attempt to locate these specific unknown objects. They believe, yet will not share where this information originated from, that these tungsten discs are in fact the remnants of several alien craft which crashed in the area during a quote, event. We had already found about a dozen of these discs. Most of them had a diameter of around 1 meter. At Kuzbas, we uncovered a disc-shaped object with a diameter of nearly 2 meters, but this new disc is a unique and impressive find, a member of the team said. The shape of the 4-meter disc is extremely similar to that of our modern-day interpretations of UFOs, and it has clearly given UFO hunters a lot to talk about. It is, as yet, unknown what is within these strange discs of metal. Could there possibly be the remains of ancient pilots? The fact that they are made with a thick outer layer of tungsten is highly compelling. Tungsten is the metal of choice when it comes to high temperatures, this being due to it having the highest melting point of all known metals. It is a prime choice for withstanding the heat from entering Earth's atmosphere. One of the main reasons for its use within military hardware, such as orbital missiles. The newly found disk has been transported to the Zernovsky Museum, where scientists are studying it in an attempt to establish its age and the exact composition of the materials within. Although they clearly reject the possibility of it being an alien craft, they themselves do not know exactly what these disks are, where they came from, how they came into being, or indeed what may lay inside. Earlier this year, another mysterious tungsten-coated disk was discovered in Russia by a mining company near the city of Belovo. The mysterious 1.2-meter disk was located at a depth of 40 meters within the mine, strongly suggesting that it is very ancient. Archaeologists performed several tests and reluctantly concluded that the perfectly circular object was somehow made by man in the very distant past, though they severely lacked any explanation as to how that was even possible. More information regarding the objects will hopefully be made available after experts analyze them in the Zernovsky Museum in Russia. We will keep you posted. On April 17, 1897, an incredible event would occur in a small farm within Aurora, Texas. According to the locals, an alien craft came streaking down towards their farmhouse before dramatically crashing through a windmill and into a nearby field. The incident, now known as the Aurora UFO incident, was strangely similar to the Roswell crash. The people who lived on this extremely remote farm would actually discover alien corpses within the alien wreckage. On the 19th of April, 1897, Dallas Morning News, written by Aurora resident S.E. Hayden, alleged that the UFO is said to have hit a windmill on the property of a Judge J.S. Proctor 2 days earlier at around 6 a.m., resulting in its crash. A pilot, who was reported to have been not of this world and Martian-looking, according to a reported Army officer from nearby Fort Worth, did not survive the crash, subsequently buried with Christian rites at the nearby Aurora Cemetery. And the cemetery does indeed contain a Texas Historical Commission marker mentioning the incident. Reportedly, wreckage from the crash site was dumped into a nearby well, while some ended up with the alien in the grave. Adding to the mystery was the story of Mr. Brawley Oates, who purchased Judge Proctor's property around 1935. Oates cleaned out the debris from the well in order to use it as a water source, but later developed an extremely severe case of arthritis. He later claimed that he was convinced it to have been a result of the contaminated alien water. However, not only is there clearly extremely compelling details here, some of which clearly need to be investigated further, there is also the site of an alien grave. On December 2, 2005, UFO Files undertook an investigation related to the incident, titled Texas's Roswell. Their episode featured a 1973 investigation led by Bill Case, an aviation writer for the Dallas Times-Herald and the Texas State Director of Mutual UFO Network, MUFON. MUFON investigated the Aurora Cemetery. They discovered a rather peculiar stone that was, in fact, a headstone, which depicts an alien craft. This stone signifies the resting place of what most of the town are convinced was an alien being. The team received very strange readings from metal detectors when exploring the grave. MUFON asked for permission to exhume the site, but the Cemetery Association declined permission. After the MUFON investigation, the marker mysteriously disappeared from the cemetery, and a 3-inch pipe was placed into the ground. MUFON's metal detectors no longer picked up the strange metal readings from the grave. Thus, it is now largely presumed that the artifacts, along with remains, have been secretly removed from the grave. MUFON's report eventually stated that the evidence was inconclusive, but did not rule out the possibility of that strange event actually occurring on the night of 1897. Although the Cemetery Association still do not permit exhumation, ground-penetrating radar has been used on the grave. However, the condition has badly deteriorated, and the radar was not able to conclusively prove what's still there. Could there really have once been an alien buried in this small corner of Aurora? Sadly, we may never know for sure. Ever since Roswell, America has been fixated with the possibility of alien life secretly visiting Earth from their home star in a galaxy far, far away. There are literally mountains of witness testimonies from people who claim to have had contact and/or a close encounter of many kinds with what they claim were extraterrestrial beings. However, regardless of the incredible curiosity and the reams of supposed whistleblowers surrounding military bases like that of Groom Lake's Area 51, secret bases on the Moon, and of course, witness testimonies, all claim to have been experienced by millions. Yet, solid evidence for the existence of extraterrestrial life seemingly eludes us all to this day. Or does it? Many people refuse to accept the reality that we have, for many years, been actively observed by an intelligent life form not of this world. But without any concrete admittance by the powers that be, many people will not even consider such possibilities, long denied by their government. This, regardless of the many more intriguing sightings, along with the most incredible of footage. It is simply not enough for this major shift in acceptance without the gatekeepers of paradigm's permittance. However, hopefully, the following information may persuade some of them to reconsider. To not follow in blind faith a governance that is seemingly withholding that which is deserved by all, the truth. In 2004, several Navy officers who witnessed what has since become known as the Nimitz UFO encounter have come forward with an astonishing claim. Like something straight out of a Men in Black movie, the officers say that unknown, yet highly unusual and incredibly high-ranking individuals appeared at their location shortly after the event. These mysterious figures then ordered the confiscation of all data recordings and videos pertaining to the event. During the November of 2004, a Navy missile cruiser anchored around 100 miles off the coast of Southern California detected strange radar signals radiating from an unknown craft. The officers claimed that the signals were erratic, yet clearly of an artificial nature. They could not identify the signal's intended message, due to them never having encountered such a signal before. It didn't strangely match any given off by any known modern aircraft. Jet fighters were subsequently deployed to the UFO's location. These fighters buzzed the craft, successfully capturing footage and telemetry of the unknown object. One of the jets in particular succeeded in recording substantial, compelling, and as yet unexplained maneuvers. In 2017, the government released a number of recordings of the encounter. To the public, however, it seems that this so-called disclosure was anything but. 5 Navy veterans recently spoke to the popular Mechanics franchise, where they subsequently dropped this bombshell. They told all regarding what they experienced at the time. Having all been part of the Navy's Strike Carrier Group 11, they were sailing on the USS Princeton when the encounter occurred. After detecting the object, the men successfully captured footage of the UFO's incredible capabilities. The object would quickly change altitudes, sometimes lurking 80,000 feet nearly instantaneously. The UFO became known as Tic Tac because of its shape. Yet, due to this confiscation of data by this unknown group, who not only had they never heard of, but seemed to carry near limitless superiority of the military operations, they rarely spoke of the incident. They further claimed that the so-called Tic Tac gave off a phosphorus glow at night and would dart around in various directions, said one of the veterans, Gary Voorhees, who looked at the object through binoculars on the ship. Why did Men in Black take control of the data surrounding this UFO? What is it that they are hiding? Was Tic Tac a real UFO, built and sent here by an ancient civilization in another galaxy? We find the details surrounding this encounter highly compelling. We know more about the surface of our moon than we do of the bottoms of our oceans. To date, we have managed to explore a mere 5% of the floors of Earth's oceans. Much remains to be learned and indeed explored. Unimaginable mysteries, treasures, and the possible odd sea monster could all still be lying deep within the blackness, irretrievable and thus undiscovered. Our oceans are the lifeblood of the planet, covering more than 70% of its surface. Responsible for the driving forces behind weather systems, the regulation of global seasonal temperatures, and ultimately supporting all living organisms in one way or another. Just what could be laying upon our ocean floors? Lost relics from a bygone era? Possible crashed, ancient alien craft? Indeed, we have already discovered the enigmatic Eltanin antenna, which was discovered resting deep upon the Antarctic seabed, found some decades ago. Yet what else could be lurking down there, just waiting to be discovered? State Department emails, files, and documents made available to the public by way of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, which pertain to the United States government's full awareness of a UFO crash site near the populated northern town of Igloolik, northern Canada, very near to the borders of Greenland. This object subsequently sinking to a great depth, it then began to emit a mysterious ping, a possible distress beacon, a sound which for some time began to annoy a large number of the locals. Since this event a few years ago, the strange ping has seemingly disappeared, and the fate of its source remains a mystery. Just what this thing was may remain a mystery, or at least kept secret, hidden away from most of the public domain.
Researcher Isaac Qua has published some startling yet not widely known details regarding some unusual space debris that was found in northern Saskatchewan in 1968. It is the largest UFO fragment ever found, and was later definitively concluded to have come from space. However, at the time the Canadian military and government could not definitively explain what it was from, and somehow managed to escape the clutches of secrecy. Also, the Canadian government has been in a mode of disclosure for some time anyway, making UFO documents available for decades at the archives in Ottawa. Only recently they scanned several thousand documents and put them online. The found space debris is one of a number of known, documented crashes of objects in Canada. If you were a government official, how would you react to receiving an official memo with a title beginning UFO found? What if the memo also referred to a metal fragment, examination of which revealed the exhibit had likely formed part of a vehicle that traveled in outer space, and attached relevant photographs? Well, one Canadian official received such a memo in November 1968, along with related memos and photos of the metal fragment. I do not recall seeing any discussion of this memo in any of the UFO books I've read. Dated the 14th of November 1968 from the F Division of CIB, presumably the Criminal Investigation Branch of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, entitled UFO Found in Northern Saskatchewan, is one part of a set of documents and photos relating to a piece of metal. This astounding official memo states that examination revealed the exhibit had likely formed part of a vehicle that traveled in outer space. The relevant documents indicate that a 99% titanium fragment with a white, ceramic-like crystalline material on one side was found in or around October 1968, but tests indicated it had been down for more than 90 days in the Wollaston Lake area of Saskatchewan, Canada. This other official memo, dated the 24th of October 1968, discloses that the object was titanium 99% pure, 4 foot long and 2.5 feet wide, and weighed between 10 and 15 pounds. This makes the fragment the largest alien piece from a satellite that has ever landed on Earth. That memo indicates that a local newspaper, the Leader Post, was aware of the find. A handwritten annotation indicates the NRC should release information about the find, including the fact that the RCMP lab identified the object. Yet no media coverage ever happened. Man-made satellites are also supposedly made of aluminium, not pure titanium. Here are some crashed satellite images. Note, none come close to the alien-looking appearance of the Canadian fragment. A report dated the 29th of October 1968 gives the results of a determination of the chemical composition of the object, indicating it was high-purity titanium. Higher than previously believed, freelance artist, known as freelance_anarchist, accepted a challenge to create a concept of what part of the craft the fragment may have come from. What do you think it is? Was it actually part of a downed UFO? It appears that this is exactly what it was, if you go by publicly disclosed official records. Does this titanium fragment found in Canada answer the greatest question of our age?